Snoopy robot boat work and Ferranti lunch, rough cut A. This is the things that happened on Monday and Tuesday following Snoopy arriving from the channel on the Saturday. The previous video shows what happened on Saturday and Sunday. So this is very much a rough cut, and here we go. It's Tuesday the 25th of October 2022, and this very rough cut video is likely to be a summary of what happened on yesterday, Monday, today, Tuesday, and a lot of it is related to Snoopy's robot boat following on from his arrival last Saturday, but also a lovely get-together of old Ferranti Guys at Bracknell this morning. But I'll start with the standard intro, okay? For those people who haven't seen any of my recent videos, I say recent, within the last year or two. So, this is the front of our place, 22 Armitage Court, Sunninghill, near Ascot. And yes, here we are, number 22. Call this Robin's Corner. Warning sign about our fierce cat Toady. You'll see glimpses of him. And something I always like to point out is June's birthday present to me this year, which is this lovely bit of garden sculpture. Absolutely lovely. I can see the stinkhorns probably fruited or have already been nibbled by the deer. And a quick walk down our front drive. As it happens, June is doing a bit of gardening of, what is that, June? Jasmine? Oh yeah, sorry, she's cleaning the windows. Okay, lovely jasmine we've got there already. And of course, the important character in what's been happening since Saturday is Snoopy the Viking, who most years, interrupted by COVID, has made an attempt to cross the Atlantic. And this last time was probably the most interesting so far, which is he was at sea about 6 weeks, I think it was, but his tracker had stopped, probably because the battery's gone flat. So what is very important background activity is doing tests so that we know why it happened, and obviously gathering information and advice from people. But important supporting work in that is making sure that, but that's Samantha, by the way, doing work at home, that load of the junk we've got here is cleared up and put away so we know where it is. And a lot of that junk is stuff which is important for work, of any type of work. That can be engineering work, including electronics and stuff from Snoopy's robot boat. There's the closed circuit TV, computer, and to the garden. Watch out for the water squirters. Oh, I didn't point out those warning signs at the beginning. Oh, that was stuff up. Ugh. And down here, and a few days ago we made some space available around the back here for, yes, robot boat work, but mostly any work in terms of where tools are. So there's work there, but there was a load of stuff cleared here, and that's, we're going to improve on that. And I'm doing this introductory clip in the middle of the day, and Paul is down here working on clearing all the stuff that we did a few days ago. Yeah, that's it. No rush of that, we'll take a break in a minute. I'm just making this introductory clip in case I don't get a chance any other time. That's it. So obviously making the garden a nicer place as well. Main thing is staying on top of things. Oh, I just fell over nearly there, but I didn't quite. So this is rather a long clip here because it was completely unrehearsed. A lot is going on, but let's come back out to the bit I missed, which is I forgot to point out Snoopy's camper van, which was used for his launch for transport, and that important battle damage on it. Battle damage, June said Robin did it, Robin said the wall did it, but the wall is okay. And as anyone comes down to our front porch, yes, for the moment they see Snoopy's boat, they also see lots of cameras and warning signs, and so there's one of the cameras and the warning sign. It's important to read the small print, which is, yes, home of mad ex-NATO scientist Robin Lovelock, beware of web cameras and water squirters loaded with water, paint, acid, DNA tracer or nerve agent. Robin would not be mad enough to test these, or would he? I've just updated the Snoopy page and I can see visitors already include from Tel Aviv. Here's the page, scrolling to the top. So that's what I've updated. But within a minute or two of me sending it out to the network of Google groups, there's a visit from not only Red Hill, which right now is here in Sunninghill because the accuracy isn't that good, but also Tel Aviv, and I can be reasonably certain that is David Schmiley. So thanks, David. So it's Monday, and only a couple of days ago we collected Snoopy on his robot boat, and he is still just here on our porch where he's been late Saturday through Sunday yesterday. And the next job is probably to clear some of this off and put it in some plastic bags for basically forensic examination of the seaweed that might identify where he's come from. Obviously there's lots of other stuff here, but most of the health will probably come from friends around the world who've got the time to check various things. Yes, it's Monday the 24th of October. June has just given me a couple of these little containers that I'm going to put the seaweed in that's on Snoopy for later forensic analysis. So there's the tools for the job, and just for the record, I don't think they're contaminated, but originally it was from chutney from our local Rajput Bangladeshi restaurant. So let's go and collect it. So better get them around the right way. So this is the left hand side, so that is this area, that's where that sample is going to come from. Spare can back with air storage, where Samantha's working. This room is going to get tidied up in due course, but next job is to actually scrape some seaweed off that side of the boat and then that side of the boat. Tool for the job for scraping it off was stainless steel slice, fish slice, is it? I don't know what it's called for cooking. That's women's work, don't know. So just do that. What's this one of these called, June? I thought it was a fish slice. What's
yes, it is.
It is a fish slice.
Yeah.
I've got it right. I know about something about cooking. So I'm about to do the right hand side. So I'm now going to gather the seaweed from the right hand side of the boat. A lot more of it there. I'm not wearing my full biological etc. clothing, and I'm trying carefully not to breathe on it. So, job done. 2 samples each side of the boat. No rush to clean the boat. Right, leave it like that. Those visitors in the coming days. Well, you can put a little notice there. That's it. And here's how we weigh the boat. Apparently it's declared as 14.6 kilos in the micro transit description of the boat, and I've been looking around. June says I cannot use her bathroom, sorry, not bathroom scales, we have got bathroom scales upstairs, no, her kitchen scales, even though I might well have done that. Water squirter hasn't gone. Oh, whoops, don't fall over. So let's go through, because what this is showing up all the time is how much time is wasted trying to find the right tool for the job. But let's give it a try. I suspect these scales won't go up high enough So we hook them under there, put it up, yeah, and it goes off the scale, so it's above that. Well, that's promising. According to our old bathroom scales, the weight of the boat is not much more than 14 kilograms. So if June won't let me weigh the boat on the bathroom scale, sorry, that is the bathroom scales, on the kitchen scales, perhaps we can calibrate the bathroom scales versus the kitchen scales. June pointed out that her kitchen scales that I wasn't allowed to use only go up to 5 kilos, so we've used that and it was in the ballpark of 14, and by adding enough water here we say, well, we're in the ballpark of weight, you can do by the volume of the water. But the main thing is a set of decent scales going up to about 20 kilo is absolutely top of the shopping list for today. Well, it's not quite at the top. Main thing is the wood we're going to get to create more storage space and sort things out in the garden. So is finding out what 1.5 litres is in one of these empty nominal bottles, and then, since that's an old plastic bottle to be thrown away, we know where the level is, and then we can pour that water in before we clear out everything. 0.5 litres. Unfortunately the marker pen didn't work very well on the water wet bottle, but the next job is to see how many bottles full of water we've got there, and of course 1 litre equals 1 kilo. You've got other things in there, weight, but that's gives us a rough ballpark. Is 1.5 litres of water, and then we've got 1.5 kilos there, and that's somebody ringing. I wonder who that is. Right, I'll take that in a moment. I'll call them back. Could be Paul, you never know. In which case it's quite good timing. In a bit, bottles, and that call was from Paul at Chobham at his sister's birthday, so that takes priority. Right, next thing is the water in there. That looks as though that was about 10 bottles water, and I must admit both June and I couldn't be absolutely sure at the end, both counting whether it was 10, and that shows you little details like if you're doing one thing it's not easy to do another thing at the same time. But anyhow, roughly 10 litres of water, it's at times 1.5 is 15 kilos, so we know we're in the ballpark. But what it flags up, we need to get a proper set of scales that we know are accurate. That's it. As a good boy, I've put the bathroom scales back where they belong, and I think the last time I remember weighing myself on bathroom scales I was 10.5 stone in old English measure. But you can work that one out. I think it might be a bit more now. Right, so that's done. And then it'd be a question of what next. And the obvious next thing is shopping. Scales have been flagged up so we can accurately measure the boat and see how much water it's taken on. But that would have to be compared with the last time we logged it accurately somewhere. Door's about to close. And the other important thing is materials, which we're going to get anyhow for part of the work in the garden to create space. So I've got to put this back in the garden now. Back out into the garden to put these back in the right place. Watch out for the water squirter, there it is. And I think June had this here, and this is where there's work ongoing and why I've got to get materials. And while we're out, I'm going to get I can easily see it, a decent way of measuring the weight accurately of Snoopy's boat, so we can see how many litres of water it's taken on since it was last weighed. But it looks as though it didn't take on a lot. That's the good news. So I can't be absolutely sure, but all these things are best guesses. Watch out for the water squirters. So lessons so far: from primary school physics, so kids at school, it might even be until secondary school, any country in the world, they're probably taught that 1 kilo of water is the same as 1 litre of water. In fact, that's the reference of a kilo. So if you know how much a boat has increased its weight, and there's no other obvious reason, it's probably water that's got inside it and is still there. But anyhow, enough of that. The most important lesson illustrated by the time we wasted, and it was ages messing around, is before you start doing any work, decide how you're going to do it and that you've got the right tools for the job. And if there's, in that case, the good thing is, was 2 of us doing it, but it was still quite difficult to remember exactly what we were doing. And goodness knows what that would cost in people's time. Because looking at it with the right tool, it would be what? A minute or 2 to pop the boat onto the right scales? Goodness knows how much time we spent there. Probably added up to an hour, including looking for stuff. Anyhow, that'll do. Here is the first lesson. June has insisted that I clean up all the mess that I've made, and she told me how to do it, which is with one of these things, which is a mop apparently. So I've got to do that, and then you go over here and you do something like that with it. But that's probably enough of that. I'll take the camera now, dear. Right, is there anything you want to say? I did the job very well, didn't I?
No.
Didn't I?
No.
Oh, okay. Right, well, I'll carry on doing that. If necessary, I'll get down on my hands and knees and do it. Okay? Got the right tool for the job, and went round like that. We have several of these out in the garden for exactly that sort of purpose. Absolutely lovely. Compared with using something like that, even if it was a good one, it wouldn't be as good as that. And of course that's the case where June was right about that asbestos and I was wrong. But there you go. The old dust sheet over the washing line there just so it dries out, and those are the other sheets that we used for similar sort of purposes outside. And main thing is, when they get folded up, we put them somewhere where we know where they are, probably somewhere highly visible. And so work that is in progress is a number of things. Where we don't need the extra materials is what I was halfway through when I got the call from Amanda that Robot Boat had landed, and so I was in the process of putting that up. We've got the materials for that. What we tried to do yesterday, but the thunderstorms and everything else put pay to it, was pick up some wood. In fact, tongued and grooved. I'll go around this way so that we can find somewhere to put all this stuff away neatly. And of course this is a bit of a risk at the moment because you can trip over it, and it's in that space there. And it's the general overall strategy, which has been going on for 2 or 3 years as best we can, of saying we've got to get rid of a load of junk. But when certain people, I'm one of them, June's is another, that won't throw stuff away, then at least you make sure you've got space to put it. Ideally we've got the space to do it rather than have to lock up garages or whatever, and then we put the stuff away carefully. And so we're on the way just about doing that. Like home base, B&Q, where else was it? Basically to get the materials for the work in the garden, which will give us more storage space, on the way back through Sunninghill, plenty of Red Bull. Oh yes, when we were in one of the places, picked up some more tools.
That's my mop head.
What? Oh yeah, June picked up a mop to replace that. batteries. Yes, so June's going to cook spaghetti bolognese. I'm not going to do any work tonight, but I might check out things like being able to weigh the boat. Yeah, I've tidied up the car, moved all the wood out the way, and taken the drinks inside, got the other stuff here. And the reason for being prepared for tomorrow is I have lunch with my friends from Ferranti, back from the 60s onwards. Right, so what next? Been quicker or easier, just simply got home, unpacked the products, popped a couple of batteries in, and that's the job done. I put my weight on it, it automatically comes on. There you go. According to that, no, surely I'm not that heavy. No, that can't be right. But never mind, let's try the boat out. That, it said it was 13.5 kilos. Let's just try again. Put it on it, because it times out after a while. Settled down. No, 15.45 kilos. Sounds about right. It's for our new product, costing less than £10, street price, is in the bathroom alongside the other one. What happens if I stand on that? I'm not sure. Looks as though 35 that scale. $74. 35 would have been probably in, I don't know, stones or whatever. Now, that can be checked out in slow time, can't it, if at all. The reason why I might have very large reading on the scales is all the heavy clothes and pocket contents that I'm wearing, nothing to do with my real weight. Okay, let's check out this impulse buy. This impulse buy at the SO filling station, less than £7 sterling. About to unpack it, it probably plugs together easily, and let's just see what it says on the box. Oh, that's a surprise, made in China. What do you think of that, Snoopy? Snoopy? Toady. Even simpler, taking it out of the box, pull out the little tab, switch it on, there it is, it's working, and wonder what Toady thinks of it. Yeah, not bad for £7 sterling. Don't know what the cost of those batteries will be. We'll see what it looks like at the corner of our drive. Showed this low-cost product to June, who is now cooking our meatballs, isn't it, bolognese sauce. Yeah. And she asked a reasonable question. She says, is it only for outdoor use? Only for indoor use. Oh, I beg your pardon, only for indoor use. So I looked in it and I thought, well, yeah, could be problems if water got in, but the answer is we'll test it. So my main question is whether the batteries for it might be very expensive, because I've seen products that work out like that, but the answer is that may be a useful extra Halloween product. So let's just pop it up the drive. Yes, that reminds me, I've got to put out the peanuts soon. So going up the drive now. So that's where we're talking about it going, just up there. So somewhere up in that region. Doesn't matter, but we'll leave it for now. It's not Halloween night for a few days yet. Put it there and then I'll switch it off. That's what we'll probably use on that corner, which basically can have nice real candles inside. But this might be useful somewhere else as well. but I'll put it with all the other Halloween stuff. Well, there, that'll do for now. Just about to look at myself messing around on the CCTV, and somebody was letting fireworks off.
It's Callie, they've warned us.
On the corner?
Callie, yeah.
Ah, right, yes. Okay. Perhaps they've got a party or something. Oh,
No,
is
it's
it?
Diwali.
Oh, of course. That's the Indian festival, isn't it?
Mm.
Oh, right. What was it? Kabali?
Diwali.
Diwali. Ah, right. Indians have any excuse for a party. I might be letting off more. Yeah. Some of my Indian friends call me Robin Chacha. Don't know what we call Snoopy though. You're going to go up there and complain, June? Blooming neighbours making all that noise. God, dear, oh dear.
There's Toby.
Lovely. Toady, that's a point. Toady, I wonder whether he's relaxed about it. Guess it. Oh, where is he gone? Yeah, trouble is, it's not easy to tell the difference between live gunfire and fireworks, is it?
Yeah, but it's Diwali today, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
That's Callie's.
Yeah,
Oh,
Callie was setting those off.
yeah,
oh, with it?
Yeah.
yeah,
She sent a message round.
yeah. I was about to put the
Oh,
peanuts
okay.
out, so I must get on with
So
that.
where's she, number 6?
Guys,
Yeah,
work's never done.
16, right, okay. Where's our toady then?
Yeah.
Time to put the peanuts, but the food is ready. So I'll put the peanuts out quickly, and the food is being put on the table. Well, that looks nice. Oh, yes.
Hey, be careful, pussycat.
Oh, where's the cat? Oh, he's there. Oh, like fireworks, don't you?
Uh-oh. No, these
Yeah.
are- no,
Oh, he's going out. He's
now.
going out. That's
No,
interesting.
because he stuck the camera in his face.
No. Camera shy. No, it's not. Wow. Yes. Right. A few peanuts there. Already there. And we go out onto the road, and one of the many cameras that everybody knows about is covering this spot, and in fact there's a few peanuts left from last night. So the routine is foxes and hedgehogs have been coming every night for ages, and then it's very seasonal. You've had deer earlier in the year, and they do prefer peanuts to the roses. Right, so I've got to do the same thing at the back, but no need to put that on video. My dinner here, in the room looking at other things as well, but here's a playback of me coming out to put out the peanuts a few minutes ago on the top bridge, and then I walked down the garden to the other bridge. And of course these are the cameras that everybody knows about. And while we're in here, before I go and get my food out of the kitchen, here is the SPOT tracker, the spare one that has been typically carried in their car for years as a spare, and anybody, it's public off the contact page, anybody can see where you've been in detail. So basically that was their trip down earlier this evening, down to the shops and things, and of course you can zoom in as much detail as you like, and but that's enough sales pitch for that. Said sales pitch, but of course for decades I'm not interested in selling anything, because people then say, oh, he would say that, wouldn't he? But anyhow, that's going in a bit more detail of the places that we stopped earlier this evening. So anybody interested could not only see live, but they could go back after the event and say, oh yeah, what was he hanging around there? And as soon as you look at it, you say, oh yeah, clearly if you go in, he's in a particular place like Home Base, Wicks, or wherever it was. Okay, so time to see if there's any food for me. So I suppose I've got to get my own fork out, have I?
Yeah.
Have I?
Yeah, well, it's a spoon you could use.
Oh, goodness me. God. That's not what you call service, is it? There we go. Fork.
Right, then you use the forks around.
Okay, I suppose I have to serve it up myself as well.
Yeah.
Blooming tennis, that's why I go into the other room. So, time to take my dinner into the lounge. I should mention, by the way, the kitchen is still in the same state it has been for 2 or 3 years, and it's all a matter of priorities. And June's in charge of finding a list of plasterers at least. It's all a matter of priorities in terms of what is best done next. So, this is where I was going to sit, and I heard some emails coming in, and I haven't checked my emails for several hours, so I better check in case there's any nice or bad surprises. Right. Cheese and biscuits after the spaghetti, and I'd read my emails, and there's a very important one back from my expert sailing friend Stuart Quarry, and I'll read it out, it's the easiest way. Brilliant, Stu. I'll paste the text of your email to 2 forums. I must admit, I did not realise that the seaweed would grow on a hull at sea. This is in the channel. The key thing is what Stuart said. This is his redacted email. He says, oh, hang on, got a phone going. I better take that, wherever it is. That was a call from my friend Paul in Chobham. Lasted 1¼ hours. So back onto the subject. There's news, and that had been on as well, of the information from my good old friend Stuart Quarry. So let's go back to what that. A lot of that stuff I look in slower time from other sources as well. It's my old friend Stuart Quarry on my old On the Water page. That was when he was CEO of Cows Week, and that's on my On the Water page here. Loads of old sailing stuff. That was last updated in 1998. Anyhow, Stuart, to say he's an expert on sailing is an understatement. So let me try and go back to that posting that I made based on his email to me advice. The practical thing that came out was that the advice from Stuart is, because the water in the channel is typically and recently warmer than other places like the Atlantic, seaweed and other algae and stuff does grow on boats, and he went into the details of that. So what that means from a practical point of view is that Snoopy may not have spent a lot of time on a beach, may not have spent any time on the beach. He might have been in the water all the time. It still raises the interesting question of how on earth did he actually come in as interestingly and conveniently as he did, perhaps by chance. But anyhow, that was a major thing. So this business of the seaweed may not be as I thought, because the boats I've been looking at are boats that hadn't been in water in that conditions. They'd been typically across the Atlantic and ended up in other places. Anyhow, that's enough of me talking there. If we go back to that email from Stuart, very useful information indeed. I'll read it out here, but you can watch the pussycat while I read it. Hi Robin and June, all well here. Towards the end of a hot summer, the surface water in the channel is quite warm, and so algae and weed grows quite quickly. The solution is to use self-eroding and fouling paint on the hull, brackets, and in Snoopy's case the deck. This should give protection for 6 to 9 months. Majority of wind in late summer and autumn is from the west or southwest, especially without a rudder. This would have pushed her on average towards the east. Hope this is helpful. We're going to, and I've redacted, to see her daughter and her family. Best regards, Stuart Quarry. Very useful. And just to repeat the reply to that, which obviously was summarising it. Brilliant, Stu, thanks. I'll paste the text of your email to those 2 forums and friends with 1 line redacted. I must admit I did not realise that seaweed would grow on a hull at sea, so it must be the warmer conditions in the Channel rather than the Atlantic. Maybe it never hit land, but still a lovely coincidence of location. Anyhow, very, very important advice. So yeah, useful that we took those samples of seaweed, but one of the hunches was probably incorrect, but all things are possible. Toadie's had a hard day. June's watching the television in the kitchen, tennis of course, and I'm doing the usual CCTV check, and I thought I'd just interrupt it, basically running through the nice TV, and just got this bit here, which was 0458, and there's the camera covering the porch, and what should come in but a little hedgehog. So that's, at this time of the year, it seems that, as I've said before, it tends to be the foxes and the hedgehogs, but occasionally you get something interesting. Anyhow, that's that. On to other things. Yes, so just about to have my usual breakfast, a couple of Weetabix, and what's the time now? 9:45. Woke up at 9 minutes past 9, I think it was, and you've just gone up to get in a dressing gown. So these clips are memory aid, and basically what's happening. So I've got pub grub today with my old Ferranti mates, and June pointed out that we have an extension lead here, and so the most practical way of what I'll be doing next is running that safely to the garage for power, so that we can probably put this on charge while I'm away. The key thing is that obviously one's taking a risk of what do you do. That data in the tracker, sorry, the logger, is very important, but the process of powering up, do you try disconnecting things and all the rest of it? So it's all a balance of risks, so that's what I'm planning to do. Put it on charge and then see what happens. There's a possibility that 1 or 2 things might work straight away, but we'll see. That was the DHL guy, just left. All happens minute by minute. I was about to have my 2 Weetabix. DHL guy just delivered those, and the important thing is I was about to go through the usual routine of checking emails and all the rest of it, and I got a call from Terry, whose email is still not working. Again, putting it simply, member of Team Joker, loads of stuff, and so I gave him a quick summary as best I could of what had happened over the weekend. It took 15 minutes, I think. So back to have my break, Weetabix, and do the usual checks. Had my 2 Weetabix and checked my email. Yes, there are only 2 in there. One from Alexi, which is basically had been about the robot boat, but also his idea of tracking balloons. Another hobby project. Anyhow, Alexi's quite public on a link near the top of Snoopy's robot boat page, and the other one was, yes, my copy of the follow-up I sent to the pub grub. I say pub grub guys, it's the guys I'll be seeing this afternoon at the pub for the Ferranti get-together, and that is Stephen K and the Spitfire, but I included some of the robot boat stuff as well. So the next job is to check the counters of visits to the different pages, which usually gives me early warning of anything. Could be anything. But in the past, what it's been useful for is early warning of a BBC or somebody posting stuff on a website, and then I'm ready, and June is ready for what to say if they ring, and it's usually what page you've looked at and a filter. Okay, that's that. What's next? Oh yes, check those counters. Yeah, check the number of hits on some of the important pages, so nothing special to be expected in terms of suddenly calls or whatever. Point out that the counters include from where, if the people are not hiding their IP address. Now mine, for example, if it was perfect, it would probably say Sunninghill, Ascot. It says Red Hill. And that varies, and as I've said openly in lots of places, I don't attempt to hide or disguise my visits. Sometimes that can give information away about people if you do, and mine might come up accurate or it might be miles away. In recent days it's been Red Hill, no problem. While we're on the subject of the visit counters to the web pages, let's have a quick scan down the Snoopy page, and this information is openly available to anybody who's interested in the visits to a particular page. So Snoopy page has the introduction, the latest information in terms of what am I saying? Let's just refresh it, make sure we have got the latest version. Just hit refresh. So that was updated at 13:10 on Monday the 24th, yesterday. That sounds correct. So there we go. It basically says where to go, the latest information. Pretty well the content of the page now is not much different to what it's been, but right down at the bottom, lots of information, but basically right down at the bottom is the visits information. Just there. So that's the end of the page there, and what we have here is that's me visiting. It says Red Hill, and that's the total people that have visited. Not that many. We're not after millions of visits, we just want the right people to visit, and that is since the Snoopy page counters were put up. Crikey, how many years ago was that? Maybe since 2006. And here it says revolver maps live stats for this Snoopy pages, and let's just see. I see there's a spelling mistake there. Right, so here we go. Let's just see if this is correct. It says, if I say last visit, just to be sure. Right, now it says United Kingdom at the top, and you can go into more detail. Austria, Belgium, Italy, Portugal, Israel. There we go. Now I'll take Israel as an example simply because David Schmiley doesn't attempt to. There's other visits there recently, some back in 2021, but what is lovely is that is almost certainly David, and that applies to lots of people, and David has been on my website under the direction finding page for years, as have lots of people, literally thousands of people. But anyhow, I just use that word as an example because David has always been mad keen on sailing, apart from other hobbies, and that's the only reason I used that as an example. And on the subject of openness, of not trying to hide yourself in any way, sometimes you've got to, like escaping a wife chasing alimony in the States, which are pretty well the only category of people who have been asked to be removed from our links pages. But we're digressing onto other things. June's going to be off to tennis soon, and I'm going to put the boat on charge, running that, and I guess we've got to move the car. And the usual routine is coming along nicely. June normally moves my car out onto the road in order to get to her car in the garage, because she chooses to use that, and that works out nicely. So Samantha, working from home of course, over there. Right, you're practically ready. I've got the video rolling here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there we go. Of course that is important news, but whatever's happening, you try to cope with it. Cope is not the right word in this context on that subject matter. Right. Time to think about putting this on charge. Maybe if I can find out where the key fob is, if it works. Yes, you shouldn't leave key fobs. Not working. No. Right. You're going to put your tracker on the thing. I'll take it. And her little tracker on her handbag. We find that useful, and it means wherever we are, like I get warning if June's on her way back from a long walk or Tesco or wherever, in this case that she's still on the tennis court. And June's about to move the car. I could do it for her. It looks like we haven't even looked at the rain radar, which I normally do. So here we are, ready for whatever happens next. On this occasion I most will move the car for June. Don't normally do it. There we are. It just doubled its value recently by getting a new tyre for it. That's where we normally park it temporarily, providing access. While June's coming out, she'll be opening the garage door. Oh, there, she's coming out now. Brought out some rubbish for the rubbish bins. Fine. I might as well point out, yes, this normally goes in the intro. Robin's Corner, complete with warning sign about Airfierce Cat Toady. The place where GPS was checked out back in, was it the late 80s, and the bit of garden sculpture that June gave me as a birthday present this year. So, June will be off soon. Seems June doesn't have to leave until another 10 minutes or so. So, a chance for me to just point out the garage with all this junk that is being kept here for ages. But the key to the practical thing, which relates to Snoopy's robot boat, is this is where I can plug in the extension lead to take the power. Jim got that out for me earlier, so I'm going to do that now. Of course, Toadie's come out to see what I'm doing. Yes, you've not been trained as an engineer yet, have you? Engineer, even though you've done all the obvious military training. But yeah, our daughter Michelle had put that in. qualified, of course. And so I'm about to run this over to the boat. Problem, Toadie does like cables, and he has been known to chew through telephone cables before now, which is a pain. I'm afraid you're not qualified for this sort of stuff, Toadie. You notice I've run the cable safely under a mat so people don't trip under it, and I've got out the radio control battery charger. That's it, you get out of the way, and that'll be plugging in there, and with some crocodile clips on the end I should be able to charge up at these points here. These are the monitor points, but also external points for charging. Tracker to show that it's working, June. I'll just let's press the button, see if it says the right time.
Now the time is 10:49.
Okay, and so June is off here and off to her tennis, and I'll be putting the boat on charge. So don't need a hand backing out on the road, does it enough times without me. So she's off soon. Don't you want to go and play tennis, Toadie? No, he's probably going to go over to Carol's, I expect. That's what it looks like. Has the key for the garage, no problem. This thing cover on the radio times.
Still insist that despite the
This week,
circumstances,
June's just opened.
there is a pledge there to increase defence spending. So there will be questions, and those decisions that are made will be a reflection of the Prime Minister's own values. They will.
Right, that's the charger on, charging, but charging a battery which is the same type as the ones we've got. We've got 4 of those inside the boat. Nickel metal hydride, and those useless. So not the latest technology by far, but tested and proven over a few years. And everything has to be really tested before we switch to it. So I'm charging that up, and now I've got to find the crop clips to go from the charger onto these points. Might take a little while to better tidy up when we've got storage space in the garden, sheds and things. And this says radio control and servos, so I think what I'm looking for is this sort of thing. In fact, that's a charger with the leads already on it by the look of it. Yeah, we'll see what I was looking for, but it'll be around here somewhere amongst the junk. That is why the main activity that's been going on for the last few years is to get stuff so we know where it is, not just in their heads, but anybody you say, oh, you're looking for that, that's where to go. So I've got to look around now for the crocodile chip clips for charging. On reflection, priorities are different. I'm going to put this Chromebook in the car, but more importantly do my usual Tuesday morning update of the graph from the Office of National Statistics on my COVID page. Very prominent, and I hope that has done a bit of good in the last couple of years. Right, so I put that in the car. There's always a risk of it getting stolen. More important things to steal. Into my immaculate study for doing that COVID page update. Loads of friends and everything stuck up on the walls. Yes, all sorts of stuff. Not going to rush to tidy this up until everything else is done. Anyhow, the COVID page is headlined off the front page of the website, and what is particularly important, there's obviously lots of amusing pictures and contributions from around the world, is the graph, which is total deaths compared with the average. So let me look to see if I can do that update. It is the mistake I made, not sure, but anyhow, I printed out today's graph, but rather than rush, I'm going to update that later today, making sure I've got the latest backups. Just a simple file naming because I've been producing these graphs every week since I suggested the idea back at the beginning of 2020, but that's all on the COVID page. Just going to try and diagnose what the problem was. Other than the bottom of my home page, it's got information about hosting, and basically, putting it simply, the internet has been in chaos for a few years, and I've got 4 copies of the site, but occasionally a hosting plays up. But anyhow, no rush on that. Key thing is, get ready to leave soon. Have to getting the priorities right on what's next. Priority now is to be ready to leave for Bracknell for the get-together of old Ferranti Guys at the Running Horse pub. There's my Ferranti page, all public information in recent years, and get-togethers, all the rest of it, and the relevant new information is down the bottom, down here. And we're always very careful what is put on the net, because nothing is secure. Don't believe it is. Yes, the spot tracker in my car, SPOT Satcomms tracker, seems to be working, and so anybody's interested can simply follow the links on my contact page, and so that's the contact page. You click on that over on the right. It's explained in words as well, and that takes you to the spot page. It says that's what we've done in the last 24 hours or so, and if you say, for example, the last hour, those are the positions from where we are, and you can switch to satellite imagery, etc. It's a bit like when you're walking down the street. Do you want to be hidden? Not to worry. So, time to get away soon, I think. Email has just come in from John Merrick, who we saw recently. He basically says, not guilty of prank. I would have taken it to our current location. Other stuff there, but anyhow. John Merrick's has got a thing called, what is it, Hot Lemon, a rigid inflatable, which is a fast boat capable of making the trip, not unlike the Royal Marines use. Time to leave. Coming to 12, it's probably only about 20 minutes run, maybe less. From where we are now, round into Bracknell, and the Running Horse pub near where Ferranti's used to be, or one of the Ferranti offices, is about there. So, time to leave. I got here in plenty of time. I doubt if I'll be taking many pictures or photos here, can't be too cautious. Managed to park right opposite the entrance. Only thing is, because I was so near the hedge, I've got a load of water on me. I hope people don't misinterpret what that is. Okay. I probably won't shoot anything here unless people are very relaxed about it, because there's too much trouble to try and edit stuff. Okay, let's see how it goes. doing a quick scan around the table. Here we go. That's right. I'll do it. Okay. Just making some phone calls. Got a call from Paul from Chobham well, 20 minutes or so ago, and basically went out to get the last few minutes of it, and which was absolutely lovely time in the running horse with the old boys from Ferranti. But the key thing is, as I got back, it turns out it was about the time that it was breaking up. So it worked out perfectly. So I basically got the message back, and I'm going to go back via Chobham to hopefully pick up Paul, and then we'll go back, and we'll probably do the work in the garden. So that's it. This will be a really weird load of photo drawing pictures. Said before, anybody can track it if they just check the contact page of the website. So I've got to squeeze past that wet hedge now. Of water from the hedge. So off to Chobham to pick up Paul, and then back to do useful work in the garden, which overlaps with the Snoopy robot boat stuff and loads of other things. But I'm not allowed to video while I'm driving. It's my usual rendezvous point for Paul, under the apple tree. Loads of apples there. So I might give him a bell, but he probably saw me arrive. And then we go off to do a bit of work in the garden. He's on his way. Shouldn't take him very long. Here we go. He knows he's on camera. That'll do. Cheers. You alright? Yeah, fine. I'll just, yes, how yourself? And Paul and I have been scrubbing some apples. June can do us something decent, like, I don't know, blackberry and apple crumble, something like that.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, right, okay, we're off now. Better not film when I'm driving. Paul and I have just got back. Here's Toadie come out to see us. I've shown Paul the robot boat, and here we go. Right, Jude just come to the door. Here's the apples. Right, that's about it, isn't it? So, yeah. So Paul and I were just discussing that. Yeah. So, oh, Bentley over the road. There he is. Yeah, Bentley right over the far side.
I didn't see him.
No, if you look him right over the other side, we're just zooming in on him now. That's Bentley.
Where is he?
Bentley.
Oh yeah, laying on the drive.
Things going on here. Toadie's joined us. Paul's helping June with that. But the main thing is the spot tracker that anybody could see.
Days, isn't it? Jesus.
This shows 24 hours worth. That includes June and I going yesterday, which was Monday, wasn't it, to Nap Hill?
Yeah, Tuesday today.
Yeah, to get the stuff. And then today I went to the Running Horse pub, and then to pick up Paul. Yeah, that's right, at Chobham. And then I got held up at the Sunninghill crossroads coming back. So that's it. Very rough. And out here in the garden. And of course I should emphasise, and this is absolutely the case, isn't it, Paul, that no cash changes hands, certainly not cash in hands, but it's all about returning favours. And I am actually being serious about that. But actually there's a lot of overlap with the robot boat stuff. So Paul had helped me with a lot of the serious work here, but the stuff relevant to the robot boat, right down the end here, oh well, there's the water squirters. Down the end here is chopping up all this wood here. This is what was pulled out, June and myself, and it's going to go down there, and it's all about getting the garden into a state that we've got the space for more places to store things like tools, and of course work on the robot boats. So loads of materials and everything else here. So that'll do for that for the moment. Pictures of the mapping. Right, Paul's going to go down and chop up behind the washing line all those bits of wood to 1 foot bits. Right, yeah, mind the water squirters, Paul. Yeah, watch out. So down all that stuff to be chopped up. Right. Here. Oh dear, it's pouring out, isn't it? Oh, goodness me. Oh, crikey. Yeah, I don't know about that. Stitches? I've got some super glue. No?
Oh, you've seen that there?
Yeah?
Once when I was having an argument.
Oh, well, don't need to know about that. So,
you know the old style taps? They
I've
have
got video
pins on them?
Yeah.
I punched it.
Oh.
And it split me all across here. I went round to my dad, I said, Dad.
Juna's had similar injuries when she's punched me, but that's enough of that. Okay.
That'll be alright.
That
Don't need a plaster.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay. No
It's
problem.
slowing down already.
Don't make a fuss about it. Goodness me. Where was I? Where we went today and yesterday. Yeah. June doing a bit of work. Here's where the car was parked, outside the Running Horse pub, Bracknell, and just across the park is where Ferranti's had an office. Yeah, so that's my pendant tracker position at the Running Horse. Here's a scrap of paper where I wrote a few names and notes of where people sat at tables for my benefit, and I just got a call from Terry, and basically his email is now working, so he can touch base and catch up on what's been happening so far. On the spot tracker in the car, waiting at the level crossing at Sunninghill before coming home. Lots of positions in the last 24 hours round Airplace. If I say live, then it's probably not far from where the car's parked. Where the car is parked. In fact, pretty good. About where the car is parked in front of our house. It's the position of me according to the tracker I'm wearing. Battery is still 86%, and that's where it says I am. Not far out. I'm in fact just there in the lounge. But while I was doing other things, including chatting to Terry, Paul's been doing all this crap work, and his layout's a bit left, I reckon, don't you think? So basically what you're doing, it's all 1 foot pieces.
I am snapping all this up, and it's all going over in this corner.
That's it. And he's using his own common sense the best way and the tools we got, but the requirement is no longer than 12 inches old measure each piece.
That's a foot.
Yeah, that's it. And in longer term, because this is, you know, say do that, in longer term we've got the materials, well, it probably won't be done today, for, you know, the planking like we've got here to go across in front of it. But the main reason we're doing all this, of course, is getting to the stage where it's not so much the garden is tidy, but we've got space for stuff. And of course all that stuff that's been chopped up there is what Paul and myself were clearing round the back of here, and hopefully we'll be getting the benefit of that, not only space but a lovely little nature area for birdies and things like that. So that's where all these things overlap. Is the water squirter working? Yes, it is. You have to be very health and safety conscious here, especially when the water squirters are not loaded with water. Samantha's pumped up a tyre. How to go out, I guess. Is that tennis?
No, it's not going out.
Oh, I thought just... Oh, it's just the tail's getting low. Okay. Don't disturb Snoopy. Right, I've just plugged in the standard radio control battery charger in, connected to the left hand side, and going to leave that, so that should be charging those batteries. Obviously at great risk, might damage stuff, but don't forget we haven't switched on the thing, so that's a separate stage. So I'm going to do that and then basically go through and do a bit of video editing, and that'll be today's video, covering today and yesterday. No, he's not interested, is he? Okay, right, about to drop Paul back at his mum and dad's, and because apparently he's going to get a free meal over there, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
Could be. He's got all his stuff, and June to decide by the time I come back what we're doing. Yeah? I think that's about it. So yeah, that's the final clip for today, I think. Not long back from Chobham, and June basically said no, she's going to do the cooking, and I've done some tests. I'll end up on that, but I'll just check how the cooking's coming along. Yeah, June, how's it coming along? So what are we going to have?
We've got salmon, prawns and stir-fried vegetables.
Oh, jolly good. Right. Up to my standards, I think. Right. Yeah, tennis on there as you'd expect. And now, probably the last technical information gathered, which is that having charged up a few things and done a few tests, it looks like practically every element subsystem has to be, as we'd expect, tested individually, and you know, the trace tracker is an example. I tried it on a separate battery, but basically the total boat system is fine, and we think we know how everything happened. So these individual elements will have to be taken out carefully and tested individually, and some things, because they may take time to be ordered and delivered, the obvious thing is the trace tracker, then that's a relatively urgent job in the next day or two. But just to point out the elements, so practically all of them are damaged. The only thing that does surprisingly work, if we switch on the autopilot, it actually waggled the servo, but that was probably when it had power supplied from the charger. So that's it, just to remind you, duplicated batteries, the autopilot system with computer and GPS, which drives the servo, linked through to the what is the missing rudder, and obviously the very important thing is the spot trace tracker, and very important if there's data in it, which is the I got you GPS logger. But basically over the coming days and weeks those things will be done. It's all a matter of the order we do things, and at the moment the priority I think is maybe clean the boat so June won't object to it coming inside, and improve what we have outside in the garden, for example the laboratory for doing those sort of tests, or if the boat is sufficiently well cleaned, like take all the seaweed off it, then it could be June will allow it into the house. So I was just to see how you feel about that, June. If we clean all that smelly seaweed off, I guess I might be able to have the boat in the house for some of the work, yeah?
No.
No? No, I know she said that. Never mind. Okay. Well, blowed if I can find that video clip amongst all those to put at the very end, but it's in there somewhere. But to wrap up, make sure, yeah, that's safe. Oh, no it's not. Yes, so to wrap up the video, to say, look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy what days we have.